Asha, I remember seeing you in Hair when we were both very young. The thing that knocked me out then and still puzzles me to this day, a 16-year-old coming around the other side of the world, what were you thinking?
I wasn't, obviously. From about maybe 4 to 5 years old, I always sang in church. And a lot of my friends were singers as well. And my best friend in Boston was a girl called Linda. And lo and behold, her older sister was Donna Summer. And Donna left Boston to go to Germany to do hair. And Porgy and Bess in some other place. And then her sister, who was my age, Linda, who I'm still in contact with, she auditioned for hair in Boston and said, "Oh, Marcia, come and audition and do the show. Come do the show. We can do the show together." I said, "No, I'll be stuck in Boston. I don't want to be stuck in Boston for the rest of my life." And so Jim Sharman and Sandra McKenzie were doing auditions specifically for Black kids to do the parts that were designated to the kids for hair. And so I auditioned in Boston, and about maybe at the most 9 or 10 days later, I was on a plane to Australia. Well, and at 16, truly, you guys, don't you remember? You were bulletproof, right? What were you scared of? You had nothing to be scared of. And my mother, she endorsed it. She signed the contract. Her name was above mine, and she said, "You know what to do. This is what you've always wanted to do." And she trusted me. So, I landed in Australia in 1970 at the Cross. It was wonderful, guys. Youth is a beautiful thing. You're scared of nothing. I was so game. I just thought, wow, I got a great gig.
And it was such great good fortune for us that you chose to stay.
Sure. And my support system was here. I had a child very early in the piece, and a lot of the girls in the show actually had kids too. So we had like a creche. So we all take care of each other's children, and we were allowed to actually take them to the theater if we need be. And then we used to just sort of go to work, see the babies, go on stage. Somebody would take care of the babies backstage, and the rest is history.
Oh, what a lovely story that is.
Yeah,
I can imagine all that. But
Yeah.
you're quite right about being fearless at 16. You must have grown up with that, but what kind of music were you listening to apart from the music you were producing at the time?
Most Black children in America, they grow up in church. My roots are very gospel. My godmother, who really influenced me musically, she was Baptist, and she was blind, and she was the head of the choir at her church, and children were not allowed in the choir box, but because I'd lead her into the choir box, I could sit quietly and steal everybody's chops, Yeah. So it was great. And I love music, but growing up during the hippie revolution, of course, I loved Janis Joplin and people like Jimi Hendrix and The Who and bands like that. And I won a scholarship as a kid for opera. And so my taste is really, really eclectic. But opera singer, that wasn't me. And I thank God, Patty, I knew it wasn't me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. However, I used to hear you warm up, as you probably heard all of everyone else warm up when we were doing Long Way to the Top. And there was definitely some opera phrases and opera warm-ups.
And I still do it now. When I do a gig, doesn't matter if I'm going to do a full hour and a bit or if I'm going to do a 5-minute appearance, I do my warm-up. So just like you know where your voice is. You got to know where your voice is, yeah.
Marcia, what sort of family did you grow up in? And were you a rebellious kid?
No, I was goody two-shoes. Are you crazy? No, I grew up in a Jamaican family. My family are from Jamaica. Mothers rule the roost, and if they say don't, you don't. Respect was a very large part of me growing up. So therefore, when the gig came to come to Australia, I knew what was right and what was wrong. I didn't come here and run wild. I came, and Harry Miller was my guardian until I was 21. And he was a great person to work for, because if you worked for him and you did the right thing, he would always reward me each year. Instead of money, he'd just fly me back to America. And back in the day, it used to cost your first child a year's wage to fly back to America. He would just fly me back to America. I'd go and see my mom and hang out in Boston for a while and then come back here and work. But I worked hard, but I had great people, Lex, around me. People like Reg Livermore, who really encouraged me, and John Waters and John Paul Young, great men, great human beings. And Reg, for some reason, took me under his wing and just said, listen to what you're told, Marcia, and do what you're told. Turn up, do the right thing. And I did. And I still have that work ethic in me. from 16. And those things are important, You don't realize that people are trying to sort of help you out when you're a kid. All you're hearing is this, But I kind of worked out, wow, Reg really cares about me, and he directed me in the right direction. And that's what Patty would do, and that's what I do when I see kids who will do something with their lives.
Of course.
It's so important that we encourage the young.
Absolutely. Encourage, nurture as much as we can.
You bet.
Yeah, love and adore them and try and steer them in the right direction. It sounds like so many of us who began young that you've made terrific friends and acquaintances early on and kept them. And doesn't that feel good?
And, life is relationships. You can't choose your family.
You've got to be lucky there.
Yeah, you got real lucky there. But your friends become your family. So, my advice to anyone who's young, choose your friends well. I didn't have sycophants around me. I had people who encouraged me. And luckily, Patty, I had my mom. My mom, my daughter, and I lived in the same house for about almost 33 years. So just to have that grounding in that reality where if I saw something that wasn't cool, I thought, oh God, how would my mother react if she heard that? You know what I mean? Yeah. And so all those sort of things. And I think that keeps you real. I think you're blessed if you have that in your life.
Cole Joyce told me often about your lovely mum.
It actually brings tears to my eyes because he came to her home and it was a lovely facility, and they'd read the newspaper to the residents daily and tell them what was going on. And then Cole and I went up one day and sang for some of the residents. And then, Patty, like I said about your friends, you don't have to see them all the time, but you just know they're in your heart. And my mother passed away, and I can't tell you how hard that was for me. Mm. And during her service, I hear something, and I hear a ukulele. And I turn around and it's Cole singing a spiritual. You don't know what that did to me.
Yeah, I know.
He's a friend for life. He's a friend for life.
Marcia, do you ever have any regrets about leaving America? Do you ever wonder what your life might have been had you stayed?
I'm blessed. Look at the career I'm having and I've had. I don't know what would have happened in America. I have no idea because my career didn't blossom and bloom in America. It blossomed and bloomed here. I did have lots of opportunity to work in America and be managed by my manager here in Australia, Peter Ricks, and American management. But they wanted me, Lex, to live in LA. And I said, I'm a Bostonian. I'm from Massachusetts. We're really old fashioned. And I just said, I'm not bringing my child up in Los Angeles. There's no way I'm bringing my child up because I wasn't going to leave her here for my career. If I was going to go anywhere, I would have taken her with me and my mom. No. This is the best country in the world, and I know it. I know it because I'm living it.
We've all had fun in our careers, and hopefully there'll be more careers after COVID disappears. Do you think that ageing can be even more fun?
Well, no one told you that you get better with age. Like you might have a few aches and pains here and there, but I think as a kid, all you want to do is be popular. All you care about is who likes you, and you get really cut when someone doesn't. My mother was great. My mother used to say, Marcia, yes, Mom, everyone can't like you, and you can't like everyone.
Oh, that's good advice.
That's a good one, isn't it? Yeah. So look, in your 20s, all you care about is being popular. 30s, same. 40s, you think, my skin's feeling really good about now. And then, 50, I'm 68 now. So my age is a gift.
None of us know when we'll get back to our careers, but I know that you would be practicing every day as I am and really missing it like mad. And do you miss the challenge,
the nerves? You mean the nerves?
Yeah.
Because people who don't know our industry as well as we do, if you don't get nervous before you go on stage, it's really something.
Yeah.
And the precipice of madness, you're keeping it together, but any minute you could shatter. I love it. And so also I miss my audience. That's the thing that's missing in our lives is joy. That's what we do when we make music. Mm-hmm. We bring joy to people. It's an interesting life we live in, and this is the one that we know.
Marcia, just speaking of work for a moment, I'm curious, your taste is so eclectic and you cover so much range we've already discussed. What do you look for in a song? When you hear it, what makes the decision between, yes, I'll record that, or no, it's not for me?
about storytelling. And if I believe